cannabis grower who knows what they're doing? Are you looking for a one-stop shop for all things cannabis lighting? Then check out DutchLightingInnovations.com. On our website, you can learn more about our newest UV technology, which allows us to grow stronger, even better terpene profiles while reducing microbial growth. DutchLightingInnovations.com has all your lighting needs, from HPS to CMH to LED and UV. Lights of the highest quality for growers who know what they're doing. Designed, engineered, and made in Holland. Your one-stop shop for all things cannabis, DutchLightingInnovations.com. You can learn more about our newest UV technology. At DLI, we have decades in experience in both commercial and hobby horticulture. As a result, our engineers have developed a brand new range of horticultural lighting products that combine with the tried and tested manufacturing techniques of the existing commercial lighting products with a modern manufacturing process. As a result, we've created a comprehensive line of horticultural lighting products that are designed to enhance user experience and produce better results. That's DutchLightingInnovations.com.
All throughout history, the term stoner has been used a lot. In common usage, it refers to the guilty, the derelict, and the unsavory. The Oxford Dictionary redefines stoned as a state where you have lost your ability to behave or think normally caused by a drug like marijuana or alcohol. I find that to be unacceptable. Welcome to the Daily Chronicles, Here, we talk to different types of stoners from all walks of life. So roll up, load up your bongs, ready up that dab, and tune in as we speak the truth about the stigma. This is the Daily Chronicles.
What's going on, my tokers, jokers, and smokers? Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Chronicles, y'all. Today, y'all, I get to sit down with a very long-time friend, fellow author, and just overall amazing fucking person, Culinary Anarchy himself, Seth MacKenzie. Man, welcome to the show, dog.
Thank you, brother. It is great to be back. You were talking earlier, man. It's amazing how fast the past 2 years have gone by since last time we talked. So, yeah, thank you for having me back on the show, my friend.
Absolutely. Like, and it's, you got to end the past year. Let that shit go. Start on a new leaf. Meet new people.
Absolutely.
Read new books. One of those books should absolutely, without a doubt, fucking shameless plug here, myself, the Milk Crate Chronicles, dog. Like, what I've read so far, holy shit, this shit goes back to 93.
Yeah. I got my start when I was 12 years old washing dishes in my parents' sports bar, believe it or not.
So, there was mention of a strip club back then?
Yeah. It's actually kind of a family tradition. So we'll go back all the way to the start. Back in 1978, my mother was a dancer at a place called The Cat, which my uncle also owned. Well, my biological father happened to own another strip club up in Richmond, Virginia. I want to say the name was Culinary. This was back in the late 70s. Here's about this bad bitch down in Newport News, goes down to check her out. That turns out to be my mom, 1980. I'm born, and then a couple of years later, they split up. My mom hooks up with my stepdad. They buy the strip club, and that was actually their first business venture before opening a sports bar and a fine dining place, all three of which I ended up working at for, on and off for several years. I guess on what's that new term that the kids are talking about right now? I can't think of the name. The progeny babies or some shit. What is it? Listen, whatever.
I'm not fucking hip. I'm not hip to new lingo.
Neither am I. We'll just edit this shit out.
I mean, plus we shouldn't have got stoned before the show, but we fucking did. So there's that.
Well, I mean, it's the Daily Chronicles, man. Of course. I mean, I pregame before I even talked to you, and then I've been hitting a dab pen since so. But I mean, I'm also making lasagna.
Oh, it's true. Let's talk about lasagna, man. Like we. Okay, so hang on. When you make your lasagna, you make your red sauce, yeah? Of course, you make that from scratch as well. Duh.
Of course.
There's two things. I've seen people do it both ways, and I can appreciate both ways. I'd rather you do one of those two, obviously, than not doing it all. But that's putting an anchovy or some fish sauce in your red sauce.
I absolutely understand why people do that. Personally, myself, I'm allergic to seafood, so I don't do that. Right. But from a culinary context, putting anchovies into a red sauce like that makes total sense. I mean, it's adding a shit ton of umami. Anchovies are one of those things where, I might be allergic to them, but I can still appreciate their uses in a situation like that. They've got that umami. They've got that salt. They've got a lot of flavor in a teeny tiny little package, and they're kind of one of those hidden tricks that some chefs use because, again, a lot of flavor, little package. So, it makes total sense if somebody does. Personally, I can't.
Right. And if you can't get an anchovy in there or you don't like the idea of throwing fish bones in it, fine. Use a little bit of fish sauce, but be careful because fish sauce is very potent and you can overdo it really easy.
Oh, yeah.
I've ruined my own sauces having to start from scratch with fish sauce. It's you live and learn.
And that's one of those things, that I always tell people, man, taste, and also realize that, the process of cooking in and of itself is one of evolution. And so something may taste a certain way right now, but when you go back and taste it in 15 minutes, And it's not just, me trying to get all artistic and weird. It's no, literally you're applying heat. The cellular structure of the substance is changing, and you have to be able to understand the blend between science and art in that situation and be able to, adjust and adapt on the fly, because no two batches of bread are going to be the same. No two red sauces are going to be the same. No two batches of pasta dough are going to be the exact same. And you have to be able to pay attention and adapt to what the food is doing.
Right. What was that Italian term? I forget what it means. Imperfecto or rustico, which means imperfect. Yeah. Nothing's ever going to be the same. For example, I want you to understand something, people listening in. Musicians are the exact same as cooks, let's be honest. Just a different medium, different artists, whatever. We all get it. The point is, you may make let's say a spaghetti bolognese for your main course. You might do that 1,200 times, but it's never going to be the exact same. Like, even if you get down to the nitty gritty and it's never going to be the exact same as the dish before it and the dish after it. The same as with musicians. They'd never play the song the exact same way live, all the time. Just because you heard it on an album doesn't mean how it's gonna sound it live. Hopefully, but doesn't mean it that way.
Well, and that's really the thing right there is, as much as I get where you're coming from with Rustica, I think that it's one of those things that a lot of lazy motherfuckers use as an excuse for shitty subpar work, because there have to be standards. There have to be, and I'm not saying that my standards are ridiculous. It's not like I went out and cut down the fucking wheat for my flour today or anything like that. But there have to be certain standards, because if not, then, people are just getting away with bullshit. Let's face it.
Right.
But I totally get what you're saying. And when it comes to a restaurant, it's like, I've always looked at the menu as being like the album version of things. But then it's like, when I'm out on my own or whatever, then I can kind of do the live thing. But I always want my cooks to be able to play that song exactly the same way that I taught them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And there's that consistency that you have to have with the menu item that you don't have to have with a special.
I feel that consistency in being both a musician and a professional cook, it's very controlling of my own character. And
oh, absolutely.
I don't, so for example, what I mean is, okay, so you write a song, right? Let's say that your song is only 14 notes, fine. And they're in a certain sequence, fine. The point is, you can play those exact same songs at different notes. You see what I'm saying? Same sequence would be the exact same, but I mean, something may be off. That's the truth. If you can keep doing that's great. Let's go back to cooking here. You can put the exact same flavors, the exact same way in the exact same dish. If I cook it, it's going to taste one way. You cook it, it's going to taste different.
But that's really bullshit. It shouldn't.
It shouldn't.
Okay.
But it's going to.
Follow me on this, okay? In martial arts, there's kata, okay? And when I set standards for a dish in a restaurant and I say to my guys, this is how I want it made, there is a specific set of movements that is the most efficient way that you can possibly make this dish where it should be down to an exact science, okay? And that's how in a restaurant you have to have, because I don't want somebody coming in and saying, oh, who's cooking in the kitchen tonight, okay? Now, when you are doing specials or things like that, that's when you have the flexibility and that's when you have to have the adaptability. But you need to be able to have that discipline to be able to crank out 100,000 dishes absolutely the same way, time and time again. And when I was studying martial arts growing up, I hated kata. I thought it was boring as shit. But then as you get older, you see the benefits of having that discipline and having that repetitiveness and being able to get in that zone to where it's an automatic response. And if this order comes in, you know exactly the most efficient way for you to move the best sequence of events for this dish to get made the exact same way. And then that way, when people come in my restaurant and they're like, hey, you guys were slammed on Tuesday. God, the food was great. We wanted to say hi to you, but we didn't. And I look at them and I tell them, no, Tuesday's my night off, man. I was out. That was my guys. If my friends are able to think that it's my food, that means I'm doing my job as a chef by leading my crew and having them live up to those standards that I'm setting, But then again, it's also like the flip side of it is when we're doing specials, when you're cooking for somebody at home, when you're cooking for yourself, it's being able to adapt and understand that, like, I mean, some of the best meals I've ever made were while I was in a, blackout at some stranger's house, because I knew the fundamentals from doing the restaurant work. And I knew how to be adaptive and say, okay, this is the stove that I'm working with. These are the cutting boards that I'm working with. This is what this person has in their fridge. What's the most awesome thing that I can make with what I've got? And it's because you have that discipline from working in the restaurant industry and being able to make excellence time and time again, I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you create your own career out of consistency.
Yeah. And, and that's also one of those things, too. It's like, that's why I give my recipes away, is because I'm giving you the foundations and the fundamentals. But by the time you read how I wrote a recipe, I'm going to be already exploring like 5 or 6 different other things. And it's like, you got the album version, but then you got the live version,
Figure
and I don't want to get,
right.
I'm like you, man. I don't want to get stuck playing the same shit over and over again, which is why I never wanted to get pigeonholed with doing French, or I never wanted to get pigeonholed doing this, or, Italian or Pan Asian or whatever the fuck the stupid labels were. It's like, when I go to the farmer's market, yeah, I mean, all these stupid fucking trends that I've had to deal with over the past 30 years, it's like, man, fuck off with all that pretentious bullshit. Just, like, give me some good ingredients. Tell me who I'm cooking for and let me get to work.
I mean, that's the truth of it. Like, we need to take it back to the basics, and taking it back to the basics is a really, like, it's an endearing concept for those who have had to learn it the hard way, for those who have learned it over the years, and for, like, honestly, those that are learning it, firsthand. There's new cooks today. Today's their first dishwashing gig. And in your book, the Milk Chronicles, y'all, definitely go check it out. It's on Amazon, man. It's on. You can hit him up, on fucking culinaryAnarchy.com. Go pick it up. It's a great read. I enjoy it.
I do autographed copies for $25 a piece.
So, how it wasn't your stepfather or your mother that you got your work ethic from. Although someone might, assume that just based on hearing that the multiple, entrepreneurship of owning different businesses and things of that, eclectic nature, if you will. But I remember the gentleman's name, and he was from, I wanted to say it was Baltimore, correct?
Yep. Baltimore, Maryland.
Yep. I don't remember the exact name that you have, but I remember that, I remember who he was to you. That's
William Perkins, man. I've been absolutely blessed in my career. I would not be here if it was not for the fact that I've had some amazing people step up and show me a lot of love and patience and put up with a lot of bullshit for me. William Perkins was literally the first person I ever worked with in my parents' restaurant. I'm just going to put it bluntly, the guy was a recovering crackhead from Maryland who had gotten clean. I think at the point that I met him, he probably had 2 years of sobriety under his belt, had flipped his life around, was getting his shit together. And the guy was responsible for us making sure that, I didn't fuck up. And he was also the guy that, he lived down the street, so to speak, from the bus. And so he would say, hey, be at the bus stop at 8:30 and we'd be waiting on the bus and ride with me into work to give me that little bit of extra independence and to make sure that I got off the bus and got home safely at the end of the day. And it's like, and I talk about it in the book, man, like there was mopping the floor and there was how William mopped the floor. And when that motherfucker mopped the floor, it shined. And everything was like, the guy wasn't a chef, but he had that level of love and respect for everything that he did. He had that mentality. He had that attitude, the consistency. Exactly. And yeah, he wasn't a hard ass. Like, the dude never raised his voice at me or anything like that, but he led by example. He didn't tell me to do anything that he didn't do better than I could. And he made me want to mop the floor as good as William did. You know what I'm saying? And that, at 12 years old, man, I mean, that dude taught me more about work ethic and leadership than anybody else that comes to mind other than Forrest Warren or Alan Carlson. If you had to have me like pick the top 3 people that I've ever worked with in my career, it'd be those 3.
In reading about them, so more specifically about Mr. Perkins, the way you described him, down in his luck, that the guy's making that comeback, if you will, or trying to salvage something in life, and then when you pair that with you were what, 12 at the time?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people would look at it, and let's call it what it is. It's a relationship of sorts. It's nothing.
Oh yeah,
it's a relationship. It's a mentorship, really.
Absolutely.
And what I say is, any kind of ship. Some people would argue Big Brothers Big Sisters, if you will, just in a culinary standard, and some people would argue something a lot more decrepit, and those people should shut their fucking mouths. The point is,
well, and I mean, you got to understand too, like people wonder why I'm so outspoken against this shit that I'm outspoken against, and why I take the stances. It's because I'm not just trying to be some bullshit social justice warrior. It's because these people are talking shit about people like William that I'll stand and take a fucking bullet for that dude. If he was still alive, I mean, and it's like, I've got a lot of deeply personal relationships with people that I consider to be family. And I'll just put it to you like this, man. They don't look anything like me. And I recognize how lucky I am. And so, it's like I said, man, William was like a grandfather, like a brother, like a fucking whatever, man. Like the dude covered my ass, and I knew him from the time I was 12 years old up until my late 20s. And so, yeah, man, like I don't know, man.
I felt that you saved each other.
Yeah, and a certain way. I mean, I don't know, man. I think kind of looking at things like that, I think we both learn from each other. I don't think that they're like
okay. Yeah, I would choose. Yeah, I would word it differently. Yeah.
It ain't no Hallmark movie. Yeah. It is what it was, and he was definitely a better influence on me than not. And he wasn't perfect. He was the same, man. I mean, the guy was literally a recovering addict, but he was also a guy that took full fucking responsibility for his shit, and also took full responsibility for fixing his shit, and wasn't preachy. I looked at him because of his practice. I looked because of his example that he set. And that was the thing, is he wasn't a hypocrite more so than anything else. If there had to be a trait that I could define him as, and he never hid what he was.
No, a person like that with, I don't really know him, but I would just assume if they're down in their luck, they've got nothing to lose and everything to gain at that point. You know what I mean? They've lost it all, if you will. And we've all seen rock bottom, and one person's trauma isn't worse than another person's, and all of that. But the sentiment still stands, man. It was that's like that opportunistic, chaotic moment, where like you get thrown into this, because you punched some drywall. You know what I'm saying? You got to replace that, and and it turned out to be a lot more profitable than you could ever possibly imagined. My question, if you know what you know now, man, like looking back in your career, all right, and I just asked this question in the last episode, and I think I'm going to continue asking it because I really like the question, okay? Just shift it a little bit. Looking back in your career, complete 180, looking at everything you've done in your life, career included, all of the lies that you've told, whether they were drunken or sober, we all lie. Everybody lies. What is one lie that you have gotten away with in your life that you shouldn't have, but you did?
Ooh.
That's a good one, isn't it?
That is. Yeah, man. I'm going to have to ponder that shit for a second.
We'll circle back. It's a good question because you're like, okay, what do I want to tell him? Or is that a lie? You know what I'm saying? So it's a paradoxical question, but it's a humanizing question.
Yeah, because I'm trying to think, I've definitely lied to cops and shit like that and gotten away with it, but I don't consider that to be unethical. But like when it comes to, I won't say that I don't lie because that would be total bullshit, but I don't really feel like when it comes to important things like that, I tend to I don't know, I I believe in karma, and I'm also like too stupid to really like. I don't know, man. Like, I have too much of a self-imposed sense of guilt, I think, to really be doing anything. Like, I don't know, lying eats at me, and I'm such a brutally honest person, anyways. Like, if I did something, it's like, fuck you, I did this, I own it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm trying, and again, it's like I'm not going to say that I don't lie.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to think of something like that I told my boss or something recently.
Yeah, you know,
or something stupid. I mean, if I have, it's been something like absolutely stupid.
fucking
I know
remedial.
that I know that I've definitely given a lot of people compliments on their food when they definitely did not deserve it, and I know that that right there sounds like a dick move, but at the same time, like, and I know. Because I don't want to break somebody's heart when they ask me how something is when I know that they really, really tried. But at the same time, I feel like I should be like completely honest and be like, this is, but I don't want to sound like that elitist douchebag chef. And so I don't know how to like find the happy medium because I don't want to lie to them.
Right.
Does that, I think there's that's the answer to your question right there.
Yep. There we go. So let me add on to that because I actually have an answer for you. Because I got drunk at a party fucking years ago, and a bunch of chefs, you talk about work real quick, you talk shop, right? As we commonly do. And I got drunk, and I'm like, yo, how do you tell people that their shit sucks in a nice way? And then I get spun around, and I get a cigarette popped in my mouth. I smoked cigarettes back then, I don't now, no big deal. But it popped a Camel Light in my mouth, and the chef gave me a beer. And my buddy, Chef Tyler, goes, I'm going to tell you the nicest way to say no to somebody in the kitchen when you know they're fucking up or you know the dish is going to be terrible or whatever have you. Okay. Whatever reason. He goes, insert reason here, but this works great. And he goes, okay. And hammered, I remember this perfectly because it fucking works. I don't say that's terrible. I don't say that's amazing. I go, tell me what you did. That's it. That's it. Just, when you're looking at the recipe or you're looking at the picture, or you're looking at the plate, you just respond back with, so tell me what you did. It's fucking brilliant. Because here's the thing. If they fucked it up, let's say that they didn't add salt, okay, or they didn't add, who knows, all right, and the recipe calls for it, and you know that it should, but there's no way that you can tell that there's no salt in there. But if you watched them cook it and they didn't add it, like, tell me what you did. That's the point. So it gives you so many little avenues, and it gives them a chance to kind of walk through it again. It's a learning moment. Once he blew my mind.
Well, because you have to understand, and we have talked personally enough times where I think that like none of my shit is an act. None of my shit is like a front or anything like that. Like, I'm probably worse in person than I am online because, I mean, let's face it, we know Letterkenny references. Shorzy is kind of like a spirit animal. I've been in kitchens long enough to where I turn a verbal lashing into a fucking art form. And if I could say the shit that comes into my head to people, like, I'm not trying to get kicked off of Facebook again, but like, I'm an asshole, and there's a time and a place for that. There absolutely is a time and a place for it. But at the same time, like, I don't want to be an asshole to the wrong person for the wrong reasons, and I recognize the fact that I carry myself with a very big personality, and the things that I personally find really, really funny can from time to time be very hurtful. And because of the fact that I'm aware of that, I try to like rein myself in a lot of times, So I don't know. It's one of those daily things that I deal with where I'm trying to evolve and be not as much of an asshole, I guess.
It's a lot, so that right there. And even in the beginning of the Milk Chronicles, y'all, I'm going to keep fucking saying it because I'm reading and I love it, man. There are a few parts that I don't really understand, but I feel that as I read further... There it is. Actually, here, throw it up real quick. Right in front of your face. We'll get a nice little zoom in of it. There we go. The Milk Chronicles, motherfuckers. 25 bones and yours is side. Yeah, sorry. Milk Crate Chronicles. Sorry. I got a little baked. Go pick it up. Amazon, Culinary Anarchy, Facebook. Go pick it up. Seth MacKenzie. There's a couple parts in it I don't, I skip, like you're reading it, and you're like, okay, I don't understand that, but he'll come back to it, and you usually do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So it's just context clues. I would have to go back and look at something. I think because I have the proof of it, and it has the logo in the background. The only thing that I have to bitch about is the fact that when there's a couple of words and you read into it, sometimes my eyes are playing fucky tricks. But that's not you. That's I know. I'm just gonna bitch to bitch. If
I'm gonna get you a hard copy, Rodney. So don't worry about that. Yeah.
Appreciate you. But what I do like,
I'm honored to have it in your library, man. It's up there in good company.
It's good. I'm gonna put it right next to my copy of fucking Kitchen Confidential, as it should rightly said. I shit you not, because it's raw.
And I mean that blows me away, because I mean there's to say that Bourdain wasn't an influence would be a fucking lie, man. And I still remember the first time I picked up a copy of Kitchen Confidential, because I was actually out here in Berkeley. I lived not too far away from where I first got my copy of this shit. It was in a used bin outside of the library, and people had been saying to me for 2 or 3 years, you need to read this, and this was long before I ever had any interest in being a chef, before I started writing or anything like that. And I found it in the fucking used bin of a Berkeley library for $3. And it was like, okay, everybody's been saying it. And after I think the first 2 or 3 pages, I was like, who the fuck is this dude? That, like, do I know that? And literally, I mean, and no joke, I read that entire book cover to cover in less than 24 hours. And it was a complete eye opener, because it was like, holy shit, here is this, punk rocker, junkie fucking freak who is still able to, like, you don't have to wear a white torque and have a stick crammed up your ass to make really good food. And the way that he was talking about, his kitchen workers, I was working in Oakland at the time. I think I was like probably 23, 24 at the time. And I was working in fucking downtown Oakland. I was the token white boy. And the way that he was talking about his kitchen staff was like, holy fuck, like this is the shit right here. And it was one of the first things that actually made me think, like, this might be more than a side gig. Like, I was still at the I thought I was going to be like a rock star and was like still playing music full time and trying to record and shit like that. Didn't give a fuck about food. But that was kind of like, his book definitely kind of opened my eyes a litit bit. And I mean, fuck, here we are, how many, 20 years later, still doing this shit daily? More. Yeah, goddamn. It was rather fast. Things like that happen. Yeah, I smoked a lot of weed and had a good time. That's the beauty.
That's it. That's why the time, it's just like when you're younger and your parents would take you to your cousin's house, you'd play or some shit, and you'd be like, oh my God, like it's already time to go home. Like we were here for 6 hours. No, it feels like 10 minutes. No, exactly. You're having fun, right? You're enjoying the ride.
Well, let's talk about one thing real fast that is going to be the elephant in the room on this book, because if people actually go on Amazon, they read the back cover, it talks about the fact that I've actually worked in 118 kitchens. Mm-hmm. And everybody's going to think, oh my God, this guy's nuts or whatever. How can you work in that many restaurants, that many kitchens in 30 years? And so let me go ahead and address this right now, because I already have to deal with it in the comments on a regular basis. Most of the jobs that I've worked throughout my career have been very short-term contracts. I go to Yosemite for, a couple of months. I go to Yellowstone. I go to Grand Tetons. And like you, I get bored. I'm not married. I don't have kids. I travel light. I live on a fucking motorcycle, for God's sakes. Like I've stuck around Cali just because it's got great weather and I've got a good setup out here. But for the most part, my entire adult life, I've been able to go and live and get paid to be in places that people go on vacations if they're lucky. I got to go to Alaska. I've lived in Orcas Island. I've been to it's like I've gotten to do some really, really cool shit. And I'm not saying it's for everybody, but yeah, I've got an attitude problem. I'm not going to take bullshit from toxic chefs or owners. I'm not going to put up with my checks bouncing. I put up with that shit enough in my life to where, 118 happens real fast. But like I said, when you're doing 2 months here and then a month contract here, got the option to do it. So why am I going to get stuck just living in Seattle or just living in Richmond, Virginia, or just living, it's a big fucking world. I've gotten to see all sorts of shit that I never in a million years thought possible. And it's because of the fact that I've been able to be a chef and cook all over the place.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, so when I looked at, looking at the copy that I had sent, that you sent over to me, I did look at the table of contents. I did notice that some chapters were like a page, things like that.
Yeah.
I don't judge that.
I've had a lot of one-night stands.
Who hasn't? You know what I mean? Like, come on. You even said you're a bit of a hedonist. I mean, come on. That's right in the beginning of the book there. But I don't know if you meant that in the literal sense. But
no, I am absolutely. I am a 100% cut and cloth hedonist. Personal life, it's all one, I mean, that's how I identify in my fucking, in a FetLife account. I was a hedonist. But, it's like, there are certain places I go in, and after 3 nights, it's like, they may love me, but I'm like, this is bullshit. This ain't going to work. And I bounce the fuck out of there because I'm not going to sit and waste my time when I know it's not a good fit. My attitude's going to get bad, and I'm denying them of finding a good fit. I mean, it's
right.
We talked about music earlier, and that's one thing that I talk about even in the book is that, being in a kitchen with a group of people, it's why we stodge. That's why I mentioned that earlier today on, Facebook, is because you can have 5 of the best, most like renowned, talented, super groups. Think about it. Most super groups, it doesn't matter how talented those guys are. If they don't have chemistry, the music's going to suck. Whereas you take 3 or 4 guys that maybe aren't the best in the world, but have really tight chemistry, and they're going to do an amazing thing, and they're going to do something original, and it's going to be tight, and it's going to be consistent, and it's going to sound amazing. And that's the same thing with cooking. It's, there are just certain places you go into, and it's like, man, I love the menu. I love the kitchen. These guys are super cool, but we just don't flow together.
Right.
Don't bullshit yourself. Don't try to fucking, make a square peg go into a, triangle hole or something like that. Be able to, gracefully say, hey, I dig this place, but let's face it, there's no chemistry. See ya. Best of luck. I hope you find somebody, and there's no hard feelings versus staying and there just being the clashing of the fucking heads, and then you leave on bad terms. It's like, the way I do it, it's like, okay, we're still cool. And, 6 months later, oh, hey, I remember, we worked together for a couple of, what do you want? And it's cool. It's not this, tension. It's no personal. It's, let's be able to fucking recognize that, man. And right now, because of the fact that we're in such a labor shortage, there's a lot of issues going on in the restaurant industry that I am going to make an active attempt to tackle this year with Culinary Anarchy, to say the least. So
I'm excited to see who you put on that target board, and what you put on the target board. I want to say one more thing, and then I want to move on to something else that I wanted to talk about, especially, about Milk Crate Chronicles. I think that if you're gonna, okay, the font is stylish, and I like the font because it's got that whole like typewriter vibe.
Special Elite, yep.
Okay. I thought that I noticed it. I didn't know what it was called, but I didn't know if that was a choice on yours, or if that was just the way that it happened. Either way, I think that there's a melodic.
It's the same exact font that I have stuck with for years. Ironically, it's kind of a nod to Kevin Smith because it's to the ones that he uses, and it's that old typewriter looking. You can hear the keystrokes banging away, and I just like the vibe of the font matches the vibe of the writing. I feel that's why I've always stuck with that. So I mean, that's how I drafted is even in the same goddamn font. So yes, thank you for noticing that.
Yeah, I mean, at times it was like. So, like, when you're reading a book and you look back and the text looks the same, there's certain waves to it. You know what I'm saying? Let's be honest. Looking at that, I was like, yo, there's a different wavelength, man. That was the meta part of it. I was also very baked. So,
well, yeah.
Yeah. A little read and weed, man. You can't get mad about that.
Well, I mean, you got to get yourself engrossed in the book. You got to be in the right mindset. I mean, let's face it, I was baked out of my goddamn gourd the entire time I was writing it. So, that's the best way to read the book is high as shit.
I read about the first time that you're like, hey, let's face it, I hung out with older kids, like you're kind of talking about your first time, and I was like, well, he's smoking in the book, I got to smoke again. That's only fair.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I talk about that, and I mean, you got to realize too, A, it was the '90s, and B, like maybe it wasn't the best idea for me to be hanging out with dudes in their 20s getting stoned and shit on school nights, but. Right. Those same dudes also made sure that I got home safe at the end of the night. They also made sure that I was still working to standard. It's, it was one of those things. It's like, if I wanted to roll with the big dogs, I was going to roll with the big dogs, but I had to maintain my shit if I was going to be able to do that. And the respect was not given. It was very much earned back then. And it was one of those things, like, I think everybody has this attitude now that people you have to give somebody respect. And I agree to a certain degree, to a certain extent, human baseline level, yes. But when it comes to, the restaurant industry, that's one of the things that I appreciated about coming up in the 90s was you had to work. You had to earn that shit. You couldn't just, like, walk into a place and say that you were something. It was like, didn't matter who the fuck you were. It was the great you came in and either your shit was on point and you could hold it down during the rush, or it ate you up and you fucking left. I mean, it was, one of the two. And it didn't matter if I was, 15, 16 years old or if I was 25. What mattered was when shit hit the fan during the rush, was I able to step up and perform, or did I fucking fold like a beach towel, So that's, like I said, I mean, that and dudes like William are where I got my work ethic from. And thank God for that.
Mm-hmm. I think, like I was saying, the milk crate holds us up when we need a minute just to relax. You know what I'm saying? And it's a good foundation of an author. That's the truth. And so, I don't know. I find these, especially when I'm high, these esoteric ways to try and tie everything together in milk crates and all the symbology. If you watch Boondock Saints, symbolism. But I think it's a great start. I think it's a very basic start. I think it's a start that, everybody in culinary can at least relate to, if not directly, kind of indirectly. They get it, right? I want to talk more about your cannabis use. Now, you're from California, correct?
I grew up in Virginia, but I've called California home on and off for over half my life now. So, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I'm an Oakland boy.
I remember the first following Culinary Anarchy a few years back, and there's mention of Oakland, and I'm like, oh no. And then I saw the leather jacket, and I'm like, oh, I'm not worried. I was like, hey, it's fine. I was like, it's fine, but no,
I get along with everybody, man. I mean,
that's why. I didn't mean any negative connotations by that.
Oakland deserves its reputation, and we're proud of the reputation. Like, I'm glad that you felt that way. That means I'm upholding my end of the bargain from here. So no, we definitely take pride in that, and I talk about that in the documentary that I'm getting ready to actually release to the public here soon. But there's a certain beauty in that, that attitude. I mean, Oakland's probably the most East Coast it's the most East Coast vibe city that I've ever seen on the West Coast, which is why I think I love it here so much. So, it's Oakland is Oakland. It's a special place.
What's the weed scene look like out there? I'm not hearing good things, man.
It's expensive as shit, to be honest with you, from what I'm hearing from everybody else, like my brother out there in Detroit where you're at and a bunch of other people. It's like, but at the same time, it's like, it's not going up like everything else. Like, I just found out, the cost of what I'm paying for eggs nearly doubled in the past week. Weed's not going up at that. And I don't know, man. I'm old enough to where I feel bad feeling bougie about the price of fucking weed because I grew up again in the 90s where it was like you get shitty fucking Mexican brickweed that you had to sit there and break up. And I know I'm aging myself, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Like the fact that I can just like, I have multiple dispensaries that I can go into that are open to like 10, 11 o'clock at night and buy whatever the fuck I want to. I can buy little dab pins. I can buy fucking plants. I can buy like, I don't really feel like I got the right to complain about the prices. I'm not like, you know what I mean? It's, you know, no matter what I go in there and get, it's still going to be cheaper than I was paying for on the black market. And it's still going to be better. And I still at least know what the fuck I'm getting instead of, you know, some random fucking weed dude saying, oh, this is Maui Wowie fucking indica superstar. Yeah, fuck you, dude. You don't know what the fuck, dude. Like, yeah, exactly, man. Like, whatever fucking bullshit name you decide to slap on your fucking $85 eighth. Like,
it's called death. One hit, you can't hear
man.
shit.
Still, personally, I'm all about flower. I'm always going to be the guy that wants to go home and, you know, burn a fat joint after work or a big old fat blunt with a couple of friends.
Hell yeah.
But for like day to day, just like maintenance, like I'm out and about and I fucking need to catch a buzz real fast.
I feel that, man. The same goes for knives too. Let's be honest. We spend a lot of money on good knives, and I will be the first person to say, man, you don't have to have an expensive knife to respect and treat your knife right.
No, you do not. And that's one of the biggest things I see these kids thinking, oh, I got to get this $500 fucking Damascus steel custom and the guy's going to form my hand to the mold. And it's like, yeah.
You know how you form your hand to the mold? Like, you fucking use it more than once.
Like, yeah, dude. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the knife that you see me use that I've used for 7-8 years now in all my videos is an old Shun with a weird angle on it. The original owner didn't even know what he had. I saw it in his toolbox and got all excited. And he sold it to me for $25. And it's literally been the knife that I've done 90% of my. I've got a 10-inch F-deck. I've got a 8.5-inch Hempful cleaver. I've got a couple of super nice Sabatier razor blade slicers that, I've got back in my toolkit. But 99% of the shit that I do is with a little 5-inch Santoku. So,
workhorse.
Yeah, exactly. It's what feels comfortable in my hand. I like the angle of the blade. I like the way that it stays sharp. And it just feels good to me. And my older brother Brownbeard, he swears by Wusthoffs. He fucking has that shit tattooed on his back, has a Wusthoff Trident on his back. And that's his thing. But that's why I tell people, like, you find what feels comfortable for you and you build your kit from there. And don't ever, I'm not going to endorse a brand unless they pay me a shit ton of money. But
yeah. But the consistency has to be there.
Yeah, but even then, it's like, you got to find what feels comfortable between the shape of the handle, the shape of the blade, the weight, everything like that. And it's like, there are certain brands out there that, for example, Hinkle, Shun, they are consistent every single time with their stuff. Even Shun, I know a lot of people had beef with them because the carbon was off and the blades were chipping on some of the earlier models. I haven't personally experienced that on this thing. I've had this for 7 years and I haven't heard anything about it recently, but they did catch a lot of flack for that originally. But, my response to that is, well, at least they're not globals. Yeah.
Fair enough. At the same time, I know a lot of
and
people.
All the global users right now are getting all butthurt about that shit. Use whatever the fuck. Use whatever the fuck you want to. I just personally, it's like Mercedes. Like, they just for some reason annoy the shit out of me, and people that drive them annoy the shit out of me. But that's one of those things where in kitchens we can joke about that and still get along. And we can talk a little bit of shit, but it's still all in good fun, I don't give a fuck about Mercedes. I don't give a fuck about what kind of knife you're using. As long as you don't run me off the road and you're cooking with love, we're all good. You feel me?
Absolutely. I think another way to, alliterate that example or capture that emotion is something that Shorty said, He goes, listen, if you're going to go, to the rail with me, if you on the way there, you're able to call me a son of a bitch. He goes, really? Hell yeah, fuck yeah. That's the point, and if you're going to go to the wall for these people and you're going to I call it step into the line, cooking. If you're going to, if you're doing, call me whatever the fuck you want. At the end of the night, I'll buy your ass a cold fucking beer. That's the truth, and once you get tempered by fire like that, there's not a lot that people can say or do that really fucking offends you. But at the same time, a person that is tempered thusly and is a good, sturdy fucking workhorse, those are the people you want in your corner because they're going to defend the fuck out of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're the people that don't give a fuck. They're able to maintain their grace under fire. And, I mean, that's, we talk about, life lessons in the kitchen all the time. And it's like, when you're ass deep in, 10, 15 tickets and everything is breaking loose, my old man, who was, big into meditation, one of the first things that he taught me about it was meditation is the reference point. It's not the end all be all. Just because you sit for 20, 30 minutes in the morning doesn't mean shit. It's there to give you a reference point so that when, you're 10 tickets deep in the line, you can maintain that level of calm, cool awareness and not be freaking the fuck out. And as a chef, that's probably one of the biggest attributes that a chef has to be able to have. Is he's the captain of the ship while he maintains the wheel and steers that motherfucker through and keeps his cool going the entire time. And that's, that's part of leadership. And that's one of those things that, it comes from experience. That's why I kind of, not to sound like a douchebag, but it's like I hear about these kids coming out and they're like, oh yeah, I graduated this culinary program. I've been doing this for 2 years. It's like, no offense, like your food may be on point and shit like that, but like, let's see you do it repetitively for years at a time. And not only that, but you're 22. You don't know shit about leadership. Like nobody is going to really respect you in that situation. And okay, if you think you're ready, like still, there are still some people like elite motherfuckers that you can still go and train under and learn a whole lot more, but you're making the mistake of like wanting everything now at 22, 23 years old. And it's like,
you got a lot more humbling to do.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of back to one of the other questions, it's like, I feel bad for these kids because I don't want to be a douchebag and like, I don't want to knock them down. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you're 22, 23, like nobody's going to fucking respect you when you speak, like they're just not. Nobody with any experience that's reliable is going to be able to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to learn. And it's like, when I'm in situations like that, I step back and I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck I'm asking or who I'm asking, but I'm like, all right, let me just handle this with some dignity and some respect, because I don't want to dissuade people. I want my role, I want to be to inspire people. But at the same time, man, I'm an asshole and sometimes the truth's a motherfucker. You feel?
That's the truth. I mean, that's where you just bring in the saying, hey, show me what you did.
Yeah.
Show me what you did.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But hey, man, I wanna take this chance real quick to show everybody that book. This is Milk Crate Chronicles, right here. Go buy it, remember it, sink it into all of that is good. Put this shit on your fucking bookshelf. Seth MacKenzie.
It is actually a really fun read. I had a good time, and it actually does have a couple of restaurants that are honorably mentioned, and I threw a few recipes in there. Nothing over the top, but a couple of my favorite little recipes that I picked up around there. I'm definitely not trying to advertise it as any type of a cookbook, but
it's a book for
people
cook.
Are in. Yeah, if people are, if they're into it, they're into it. If not, I don't know, man. I got my thing off on it by being able to write it, and it's the same thing with any other book that I've written. I'm not trying to be the end all be all. I hope the person picks this up and reads this and then gets off their ass and goes and does something cool. It's, even with my recipes, like I talk about, it's like, I keep my recipes very basic, very baseline, and very simplistic for a reason, because I want to give people the fundamentals so that they can go and twist it around and make it their own and make it awesome. I want people to read my books and feel inspired to go out and like get a fucking plane ticket to that place that they've been wanting to go for the past 10 years. If this is the book that lights the fire under somebody's ass, just real quick, like years ago, I've worked in Yellowstone a couple of times. As I talk about this, posted an article about it a few years ago. It kind of became a semi-tradition of like what it's really like to work in the national park system. And a lot of people gave me shit because I was brutally honest about it, to say the least, with the sex and the drugs and all the shit that really goes on in this place. But a lot of people that had actually worked in the parks were like, no, he's describing this shit to a T. Well, I reposted like a year later and then another year later, and this one chick emails me and says, hey, thank you for reposting this. I was hoping to see it again. I just wanted to let you know that I was on the fence about whether or not I was going to take this job in Yellowstone 2 years ago. And I read your article and I said, fuck it. And I did. And now I'm engaged, and, I met my husband at the park, and my entire life, like, I had been living in this small town in Missouri and had never seen anything. And then, like, it was the first time I'd gotten to see this. And she's like, I'm so glad I saw your article again, because I wanted to thank you, because was what made me take the contract and go out there, and it completely changed my life. So
right,
it's like
shift, right?
And knowing that I have that kind of a positive impact on people, and I'm able to inspire, that's like that's what makes me sleep well at night and keeps me smiling on a regular basis. It's like, the book sales and shit like that. That's fucking awesome. I definitely got bills to pay. Gas for my motorcycle is not cheap by any stretch. So definitely please buy it. But again, like the honest thrill that I get from this shit is when I get stuff like that, where people are like, I was on the fence about doing this. I read something you said, and it made me take action for myself, and, in a positive way, So that's how I'm trying.
I love it, man. And that the elation of that emotion alone just shows how extreme it means to how much, how you take it, bro. You just, it's you're grateful. And I think that,
dude, beyond grateful.
I think that,
dude,
sorry, go ahead.
Well, two things real fast. There was, somebody got in contact with me. This chick she has the only foster home in the state of Kentucky for trans youth. And she was trying to, raise some money for it. And long story short, I checked it out. Everything was legit. And I told my buddy, I said, listen, man, my fans might be able to come through it. I posted it, and my fans, this community that I've helped build, which we've got everything from, punk rock, little, 17-year-old dishwashers to Aikido masters out in New Orleans to great grandmothers, all sorts of motherfuckers in this community. And they came together in full force, and we had that money raised in like less than 3 hours. And damn. I've done some cool shit. I've ridden my motorcycle cross country and, done some epic hikes and blah, 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 blah. I've cooked for, Arnold Schwarzenegger, fuck all that. Knowing that I was able to help that chick raise that money, that was beyond one of the coolest things. Speaking of which, and I hate to plug it, but I am going to plug it real fast. You know about her because of the fact that I've mentioned it on the site a couple of times. Ladies and gentlemen, a good friend of mine, Beverly Torres Petty, got breast cancer. She is a badass chef. I have cooked with her. She was featured in my first documentary. She is near and dear to my heart. She's one of the few chefs that literally intimidates me, but she's got a heart of gold. She's got breast cancer. We're trying to raise money on GoFundMe. If you donate $50, send me the receipt via Facebook or whatever the fuck. I will send you 2 different copies. I got a couple other books, 2 copies for $50. If you donate it to her, I won't take a penny of it. I'm just going to send you the book. I'll pay the shipping and handling out of my pocket. If you donate I'm stoned. If you donate $100 to her GoFundMe for her breast cancer fund, I will send you all 4 books signed and probably some stickers and shit that are coming my way soon. But yeah, like seriously, go onto my page. I posted about it a couple of times. I'll post about it tonight or tomorrow. Donate, even if it's only $2 or $3, it's gonna fucking help her ass out. Yes, thank you. So yes, Rodney knows what's up. She is near and dear to my heart, and yeah, she's a badass chef. And she's like me. She works in small mom and pop places that give her the flexibility to not have to be a fucking corporate slave, which means she doesn't have medical insurance. And when some shit like this happens, you fucking watch enough Letterkenny. When a friend asks for help, you go out of your fucking way. So if I got to bribe people with books, if I got to like do whatever the fuck I got to do to help her out and get her this money and, just more than anything, show her that she is loved, and that's what she needs, is that she is loved and supported right now. But yeah, we also got some fucking medical bills that we got to get paid for her. So step up, $100, you get 4 fucking signed books and some other cool shit. Okay,
get after it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for letting me. Yeah, man. I love that woman.
I posted on Facebook. It's the least I can do. But I didn't have permission, and I don't think that we need it. I don't think she's going to tell us no. So I'm not really worried about it. Yeah. She's great. She's fantastic. And she smokes hella weed.
Fuck yeah. Well, and I don't want to say who her husband is, but like, I'll put it to you this, because I don't know but her husband is responsible for some absolutely fucking amazing stuff. And I was fans of her husband before I knew that her husband was her husband. Like, I was fans of her, I was friends with her, and I was fans of her husband. I had no idea until I actually met them in person.
Oh shit!
And they're both absolutely amazing people. I mean, they've been together for fucking 26 years, man. I mean, they're like the most adorable couple on earth. And no, I wanna cook with her again.
We gotta help her out, y'all.
We're definitely gonna come together and help her. And that's one of the cool things about the community that I built, is the fact that, when I'm able to, I can actually flex my muscle and I can get some shit done. I've got some amazing fucking fans on my page, and, they take action. I mean, shit, when it comes to, they raise the money. Sometimes, like, some idiot will comment on my page, and you've seen them, man. I mean, some of these motherfuckers go off on people like rabid dogs, and it's like, I go to delete the comment, and then I'm seeing my fans, and I'm like, I'm just going to sit back. This motherfucker wanted attention. This dude wanted attention. He's going to get all the attention he wanted to, man. His notifications are going to be going the fuck off.
Oh, you're trying to sleep. Not tonight.
My fans are equally as creative as they are savage, and they are abundantly fucking good. So, yeah, sometimes I sit back and I feel this level of pride of like, wow, I've definitely trained them well. So, yeah, I'm a very proud man in that regards, man. And like I said, I think that with using platforms the way that I have, I think that I've definitely been able to have a positive impact on the restaurant industry and make people aware of things that I don't think that they would have been aware of, because a lot of my fans, yes, are chefs, but a lot of people are civilians, and they don't know about Cisco, and they don't know about things like that in the industry and what to look out for. And so it's like, I feel like in that level, I've been able to use this to kind of bridge that gap as well, and, demystify this shit while also being able to, like, do some cool shit for other people, which is always awesome.
That's what it's about, man. Doing cool shit for other people and doing cool shit yourself, But hey, man, I really want to, listen, the Milk Crate Chronicles, y'all. Amazon, check it out. CulinaryAnarchy.com, check it out. If you buy a copy for $25, he will sign it. Okay. Or
message me for details.
Yep. Message him for details. Or donate to the GoFundMe below.
$50 gets you 2 different books, both signed. You don't have to pay for shit. Just send me the receipt and a shipping address, and I will get them out. $100 gets you 4. Can you see that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 different books. Milk Crate Chronicles, Life in Randori, Places to Be in the South, and Industry Standard. And if you want, you can go on, look up Seth MacKenzie on Amazon. You can find all of them there. But like I said, if you donate to Beverly's GoFundMe, all you got to do is give me a shipping address, and I will ship those books out to you signed with some stickers and some shit like that as a way to say thank you. Because, yeah, I like to make money myself, but right now this is the priority. This is what we're going to fucking take care of. Yeah, it is, man. It's New Year, man. I want to have my New Year doing the right thing. Also, got to get this fucking lasagna going too soon.
Well, let's get after it, man. I appreciate you fucking coming on the show, brother. Dude, I'm excited to see what you've got coming up, this next year. I hope to fucking, meet up with you soon when your brother being in Detroit and shit, but
I will be out there hopefully in July.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for me. All right.
Can do.
We'll be in touch before then.
Oh, of course,
All right, brother.
All right, my tokers, my jokers, my smokers. We'll catch you guys on the flip. Until next time. Peace.
Happy 420. I'll see you soon, brother.